The alien woman introduces herself as Lysera, a warrior-class escort from the Athenari species. She explains that Athenari service is not romantic, it is protection for one night. Lysera believes Arlen is being hunted. Arlen thinks it's a mistake. But then lights flicker, alarms activate, and the walls shake. Something tries to break into his station. Arlen realizes Lysera may be telling the truth. 3 unknown alien raiders enter the outer corridor. Lysera fights them with speed and strength far beyond human ability. Arlen helps by sealing doors and triggering emergency lights. When the last raider dies, he whispers, "The human belongs to us, and she knows why." Arlen demands answers. Lysera says she cannot explain yet. Lysera's time of service ends at midnight. She prepares to leave, but then she receives a message from her command, "Do not leave the human. He is the key." Lysera looks at Arlen and says, "Our contract is over, but I will stay with you forever, if needed." Arlen is shocked. Why would an elite alien warrior want to stay with an ordinary human engineer? Before he can ask, the station sensors detect a huge battleship approaching. Welcome to my channel Sci-Fi Love Story. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. The night was quiet on the mining station orbiting Kepler 92b, too quiet for a place that usually echoed with tools, machines, and workers shouting across halls. But tonight, most workers were asleep or off duty. Only one man remained awake, sitting in his small living unit. His name was Arlen, a human engineer in his early 30s. He was tired, dirty from the day's work, and desperate for sleep. But the storm outside, a wild electric storm that shook the station, made resting impossible. The lights flickered every few seconds, and the metal walls creaked like they were alive. Arlen sighed and rubbed his eyes. "Just one peaceful night," he whispered. At that exact moment, his doorbell chimed. A soft, single tone. He frowned. No one should be visiting at this hour. He slowly walked to the door, wondering if a worker was drunk or if someone needed repairs. He opened it, and froze. Standing in the hallway was a tall alien woman, almost 6.5 feet tall, with silver eyes that looked like polished metal. Her skin had a faint golden glow, her hair was long and white like moonlight, and she wore a dark armored suit that looked both elegant and dangerous. She stared at him without blinking and said in a calm, deep voice, "You requested one night's service. I have arrived." Arlen's mouth fell open. "What? No, I think you have the wrong door." But the alien woman shook her head once. "I do not make mistakes. Your IT code ordered the contract. I am here to protect you for one night." Arlen stared at her, confused. Her voice was firm, her posture strong, and her presence overwhelming. He felt like a weak human standing before a goddess of war. She stepped closer. "I am Lysera of the Athenari. I have come to guard you until sunrise." Arlen raised his hands nervously. "Guard me? From what? I'm just an engineer. I don't need protection." Lysera's silver eyes narrowed slightly. That is not what the message said. Arlen felt a chill crawl across his back. He hadn't ordered anything. He hadn't contacted any Athenari service. He hadn't even spoken to one before. But she was here, and she believed he had. The lights flickered again. The hallway shadows seemed to stretch unnaturally long. Lysera glanced around, her expression becoming sharp. "Let me inside, now." Her tone gave Arlen no room to argue. He stepped back, and she entered the small room. Her height almost touched the ceiling. The air around her felt warm and carried a faint metallic scent. As the door closed behind her, she scanned the room with military precision, checking corners, vents, and windows. Arlen swallowed. "Are you expecting danger?" Lysera did not look at him when she answered. "Your life is at risk." His heart dropped. "What do you mean? Why would anyone?" Lysera raised a hand, silencing him. Her eyes glowed slightly. "Something is watching this unit." The room temperature dropped. Arlen felt goosebumps rise on his arms. Lysera walked to the window and looked out at the storm. Lightning flashed, illuminating the metal walkway outside. No one was there, but Lysera whispered, "They are close." Arlen stepped away from the window. Who is close?" She turned to him, her expression unreadable. "I cannot reveal that until your safety is confirmed." Arlen felt anger rising. "It's my life, don't I deserve to know what's going on?" Lysera took a step toward him. Because of her height and presence, Arlen felt very small. But her voice softened. "Arlen, I did not expect you to be this untrained. You are not like the others." "The others?" he asked quietly. Lysera looked away, as if she had said too much. Before Arlen could ask again, the station lights went out completely. Darkness swallowed the room. Arlen gasped. What's happening? Lysera did not panic. Her armor glowed faint gold, lighting the room faintly. She whispered, "The hunters have arrived." A loud metallic bang came from the corridor. Then another, and another. Something, or multiple things, were trying to break in. Arlen backed up until he hit the wall. His breathing became fast. Lysera reached out and placed a steady hand on his chest, warm, strong, calming. "Do not fear, stay behind me." Her hand lingered a moment low. Inner than necessary, and Arlen felt a strange warmth in his chest. Something about her closeness made him forget the fear for a second. But then another loud bang snapped him back. The door shook violently. Lysera stood in front of it, ready. Bang! The metal bent inward. Bang! Sparks flew. Bang! The door burst open, thrown across the room like paper. 3 alien raiders rushed inside, tall, armored, with glowing red visors and sharp energy blades. Arlen screamed. Lysera did not. She moved like lightning. In one motion, she grabbed the first raider by the throat and slammed him into the wall so hard the metal dented. She spun and kicked the second raider, sending him crashing into the ceiling. The third swung his blade at her, but she caught it with her bare hand, snapped it in half, and punched him across the room. Arlen stared in pure shock. Lysera fought with grace and deadly precision, like she had trained for centuries. Her movements were beautiful in a terrifying way. The raiders recovered and attacked again. One lunged at Arlen, and Lysera jumped in front of him, taking the blade across her armor. Sparks flew, but her armor held. She grabbed the raider's arm, twisted, and threw him into the others. The fight lasted less than a minute. When the final raider fell to the ground, bleeding and weak, he looked up at Arlen and whispered, "The human belongs to us, and she knows why." Lysera crushed his helmet with her boot before he could say more. Silence filled the room. Arlen was shaking. He could barely speak. Lysera walked to him and gently put a hand on his shoulder. "Are you hurt?" Arlen shook his head. "Why, you saved me." "Thank you." Her hand remained on his shoulder. She looked into his eyes with her silver gaze. "I was contracted to protect you, but I did not expect to care about your safety this much." Arlen felt heat rise in his face. Was she being serious? He stepped back slightly, overwhelmed. What did that raider mean? "Why am I a target?" Lysera looked away. "The truth would endanger you." "I cannot tell you." Arlen felt frustration again. "But my life is already in danger." Before she could respond, her wrist device beeped sharply. A command message appeared on her screen, glowing Athenari symbols. Lysera read it, and her expression changed. Her eyes widened for the first time. Arlen didn't like the look on her face. "What is it?" She slowly looked up at him. "Our contract has ended. My time is up." Arlen's heart sank. "So, you're leaving?" She hesitated. Then another message flashed onto her screen. Lysera's eyes widened again, but this time, she looked almost emotional. Something soft, something human-like, passed over her face. "A new order," she whispered. "I am commanded not to leave. Why?" "Oh, you." Arlen blinked. "You mean, for tonight?" Lysera shook her head. "No, Arlen." Her voice was calm but serious. "They want me to stay with you. Not for one night, but for as long as necessary." Arlen stared at her, confused and overwhelmed. "Why? Why me? I'm just a normal engineer." Lysera stepped closer to him. Her presence was warm again. Her voice was soft. "You are not normal, Arlen. You carry something valuable, something ancient, something powerful." He shook his head. "That makes no sense." Lysera touched his arm gently. "I will explain everything when it is safe." Before he could say anything, the station alarm blared, a deep, thunderous sound. Arlen ran to the window and looked outside. A massive shadow covered the station. A giant battleship hovered above them, dark and silent, with hundreds of glowing red lights. Lysera walked to his side and whispered, "They have found you." Arlen's heart pounded in his chest. Lysera stepped in front of him protectively. Her silver eyes glowed brighter than ever. "This time, even I may not be enough to save you." The giant battleship blocked out the stars above the mining station. Its engines hummed with a deep, threatening sound that vibrated through every metal wall. Arlen stared at it through the window, his breath shaky. He had never seen anything so huge, so dark, so terrifying. Lysera stood in front of him, her tall figure tense, her silver eyes glowing brighter than before. She looked like a warrior facing death, but not for herself. For him. Arlen whispered, who are they? Lysera didn't turn her head. The same faction that sent the raiders. The Krail Dominion. Her voice was low, serious. They have come for you, Arlen. They want what is inside you. Arlen swallowed. You keep saying that, but I don't understand. What's inside me? Lysera finally looked down at him. Her expression held a strange mix of worry and tenderness. You carry the last beacon. Arlen blinked. What does that even mean? She took a deep breath, something she rarely did. It is an ancient message. A secret code placed inside certain human bloodlines thousands of years ago by the first alien explorers. Most people never activate it. But your recent mining work triggered it. Arlen stepped back. But I'm just an engineer. I fix machines. I don't have any ancient alien message in me. Lysera stepped closer. She looked down at him with soft eyes. You do, Arlen, and many factions want it. Some want to use it. Some want to destroy it. That is why I was sent. That is why they will not stop coming. Arlen felt dizzy. I didn't ask for any of this. Lysera gently placed a hand against his cheek. I know, but I will protect you. The gentle touch made Arlen freeze. Her hand was warm, more than human skin, and her eyes were filled with something he couldn't fully understand. But their moment broke instantly. A loud explosion shook the station. The battleship fired its first warning shot. Alarms echoed. Red lights flashed along the hallways. Lysera grabbed Arlen's arm. Move, now. She pulled him with surprising force, guiding him through the narrow corridors. Arlen could barely keep up with her long strides. Where are we going? He shouted. To the service tunnels, she replied. They cannot scan you underground. They ran down 2 flights of stairs and reached a maintenance hatch. The metal rattled as Lysera forced it open with her bare hands. Arlen climbed inside the dark tunnel first. Lysera followed, sealing the hatch behind them. The tunnel was cold, narrow, and filled with the smell of metal and old wires. Arlen crawled forward. Lysera stayed right behind him, her armor glowing softly. Arlen whispered, what if they find us? Lysera answered quietly, then I fight until my last breath. Arlen looked back at her, shocked. Why would you risk your life for me? You don't even know me. Lysera met his gaze in the darkness. For the contract. At first, she paused. Now, for another reason. Before Arlen could ask, the tunnel shook violently. Dust fell from the ceiling. A deep rumbling echoed all around them. Lysera grabbed his wrist. They're drilling into the station. We must hurry. They crawled for several minutes until reaching a service elevator shaft. Lysera pulled Arlen close. We climb. Arlen looked up the long shaft and felt fear twist in his stomach. He hated heights. Lysera saw his expression and softly touched his arm. Look at me, not the height. Her voice was calm, soothing. He nodded, trusting her more than he trusted himself. They climbed together, Arlen holding tightly to the rungs, Lysera climbing behind him like a silent guardian. Her breath was steady, her presence comforting. Halfway up, a bright beam shot through the tunnel wall, a scanning drone. Lysera reacted instantly. Arlen, hold tight. She pushed him flat against the metal wall just as the drone fired a blast. The heat burned across her armor, but she didn't move away from him. Arlen felt her body press protectively against his back. She shielded him fully. The drone prepared a second shot. Lysera whispered, forgive me. She leaped off the rung, landed on the drone midair, and crushed it with her bare hands. Sparks shot in all directions. The drone fell, exploding at the bottom of the shaft. Arlen stared down, stunned. Lysera, are you hurt? She shook her head. Not badly, but he saw smoke rising from her armor. He climbed down a few rungs to reach her. You took that hit for me. Lysera looked at him. Ith soft silver eyes. I told you, I will protect you. Her voice had more emotion now, something personal, something deep. But another explosion below cut the moment short. Lysera pointed upward. Go, quickly. They climbed the rest of the way and reached a maintenance control room. Lysera sealed the hatch behind them and took a moment to breathe. Her armor was cracked on one side. Arlen stepped closer. You're bleeding. She blinked in surprise. A thin line of golden blood slid down her arm. It is nothing, she said. But Arlen grabbed a cloth and wrapped it around her wound. You protect me, he said quietly. Let me help you at least this much. Lysera stared at him as if no one had ever spoken to her like that. A soft warmth filled her eyes, something almost like affection. But before she could speak, a loud alarm rang in the room. Lysera rushed to the console and viewed the station's sensors. Her expression turned cold. They have landed troops. Many. Arlen felt fear rise again. How do we stop them? Lysera looked at him with a strange expression. You stop them, Arlen. What? How? The beacon inside you. It is a signal, a command. You can use it. Arlen felt confused. I don't know how. Lysera placed both hands gently on his shoulders. I will guide you, but you must trust me. Arlen nodded. He trusted her more than he should. Lysera led him to the tower core, a chamber filled with glowing cables and humming machines. They stood at the center. She took both his hands. Close your eyes. Arlen closed them. Listen to my voice, she whispered. Feel the energy inside you. At first, he felt nothing. Just fear, confusion. Then something flickered inside him, like a small, hidden spark finally waking up after years of sleep. A faint light pulsed under his skin. Arlen gasped. What is that? The beacon, Lysera whispered. You are activating it. The ground shook as Dominion soldiers approached the tower. But Lysera did not let go of his hands. Focus, Arlen. Think of the code, the message, the truth. The pulse grew stronger, then brighter. Arlen saw flashes, memories that weren't his. Ancient symbols, stars being mapped, old voices speaking across space. Lysera squeezed his hands gently. You are doing it. Outside, Dominion soldiers surrounded the tower, preparing to break in. Arlen opened his eyes, glowing faint blue. What do I do now? Lysera looked deeply into his eyes. You protect your world. Arlen raised his hands. A wave of energy burst outward from him like a shockwave. It hit the Dominion troops. Their weapons exploded. Their ships overloaded. The giant battleship began to shake violently, alarms echoing across its hull. Lysera watched in awe. You did it, she whispered. The battleship turned sharply and began pulling away from the station, retreating. Arlen collapsed to his knees, exhausted. Lysera caught him before he fell. You saved us, she said softly. You saved me. Arlen felt warmth spread through his chest at her words. He looked up at her. So, it's over, Lysera nodded. For now. She helped him stand, her hands gentle on his arms. They stood close, closer than ever before. Arlen looked into her glowing silver eyes. So, now that the danger is gone, I guess your job is done. Lysera didn't answer immediately. Her expression became soft, almost shy, something rare for a warrior like her. She stepped closer, her voice a whisper. Arlen, I was sent to guard you for one night. She placed a hand on his chest. But I stayed because I wanted to. Arlen's heart beat faster. Lysera continued, her voice shaking slightly. I have never felt this connection before. I have never cared for someone like this. Let me stay, not because of duty, not because of the beacon. She leaned closer, her forehead touching his. But because of you. Arlen lifted a hand and touched hers gently. Lysera, I want you to stay. Her eyes closed softly, relief washing over her face. She whispered, then I will stay. Not for one night, not for one mission, for as long as you live. Arlen smiled, feeling a strange mix of peace and excitement. Outside the window, the stars shined quietly. Inside the room, the alien warrior and the human engineer stood close, breathing the same air, sharing a moment that felt bigger than destiny. The danger was gone, the war was avoided, but something new had begun, something far more powerful. A bond, a choice, a future together.